Hi,
I'm Christina.
I'm Maya from
Bookworm Dreams.
and welcome to a new video.
So as you can see, we are here to tell you what our best books of 2021 are. So we chose, Maya, you chose five books. I mean,
With caveats, of course.
Yes. I also kind of chose 5 books. We actually share one book.
Yes.
So we're gonna leave that for the end for you to hear. So let's just get on with it because...
All right. So this is in no specific order. This is just general, the 5 books that I really enjoyed this year. So first I want to cheat from the beginning and mention an actual series. So this is the Interdependency Series by John Scalzi. This is book 1, The Collapsing Empire. We have book 2, The Consuming Fire, and book 3, The Last Emperor. So basically I consume this on audio, where Will Wheaton does a fantastic job with, he usually does John Scalzi's books, and it was so awesome. Basically we follow 3 different characters in a world where there is space colonization with the help of the flow. Now, when I was preparing for this video, I went to see what I said about the books, and in all the books, in all the videos where I talk about these books, I talk about the flux. It's not the flux, it's the flow. The flow is basically a space highway, basically a bunch of wormholes which help people get to different parts of the galaxy, and humans colonized different parts of the galaxy. Now the problem appears when the flow starts breaking down, and a scientist discovered this, and he is on his way to the center of this empire, the Interdependency, but the empire is sort of also in turmoil because the old emperor dies, and the new empress, but actually emperor because it's like a different kind of pronoun, is set on the throne. So we follow her as well, and what everything that she goes through. And the third character, the best character ever, is called Lady Kiva Lagos. She is a starship captain, and she's so cool. First of all, very capable, swears a lot, which is always a plus for me. And she is very, she's not ruthless, but she knows what she has to do, and she doesn't really pussyfoot around anything. So she is like very forceful and everything. She's awesome. There's a whole awesome scene in the first book where she interrogates this dude, basically lets him go through the, what do you call those in a ship? Not air holes, but airlocks, right? Without his suit and anything. And he's like floating in space, and she's like talking to her lieutenant, like, how long can humans like stay out there? I don't know, a couple of seconds. Okay, let's bring him back in. Okay, let's see what happens. She is so awesome, and I love her. So we follow those 2 characters throughout this whole series, and this series is filled with political machinations and assassinations. There is humor. I mean, it's John Scalzi. There's always humor with this. It's just, the whole series is so entertaining, and just I loved it, and just had to put the whole series on because the third one like made me cry, made me laugh, like everything. It was so good, and I enjoyed it a lot. So for anybody who hasn't read a space opera, please do read this one because it's so awesome.
Oh, very good. Okay, I'm going to start off also with this series. Sorry. But basically I am choosing the Throne of Glass series, entire series by Sarah J. Maas. So this is a project that Maya made me do, let's say. I mean, I was a willing participant in it, but basically I don't know, I was really kind of interested in the entire story. It just I didn't have a problem reading like gigantic books for it, and it just kind of flowed. The characters were interesting, like the main characters, the side characters. I love the side characters, awesome. And just like I don't know, it felt good reading it and like completing such a big series and with such large books, and it just, I don't know, I think it was one of like the highlights of my year, and that's why I put it here. We have reviews for all of the 7 like standard books and the prequel short story collection. Yeah, I think that's the 8 ones, right? 8. Yeah. And yeah, and I just like, what's the story about? Yeah. Yeah, that one. So this is the story of Selena Sardotian, who is an assassin, and we just follow her on
see her.
Yeah, We just follow her on the road from like kind of being first in like an assassin school, and then like going through a tournament, becoming like the king's assassin, and just working as a king's assassin, and then discovering her powers and her backstory, history, and just like it's epic fantasy. Like it's an epic story that you cannot just summarize in a couple of sentences, because each book has like a different thread that is done for like Selena. You have a different thread for Dorian, who is like the prince, future king of like this main kingdom where like in the beginning everything happens. Then you have like this whole world of fays and witches and different magical creatures, and it's just such an a developed world that it cannot be, summed up that easily.
All right, so let me just add on to this. I picked 2 books from the series that are my favorites. So the first one being Queen of Shadows. This is book 5, and Kingdom of Ash, which is book 7. This is the last one of the series. I think this is book 5. Is it not?
I think it's book 4.
It's book 5. No, 1, 2, 3. It's book 4. Sorry, it's book 4. As I said, Christina just mentioned everything that I wanted to say about the stories. It's such a, after you survive the first 2 books,
yeah,
it's golden from there. Every book gets bigger and grander. The characters and the plot gets more complicated. There's like so much like background stuff that's happening, like so many characters to follow, but it was always interesting. I remember when I was reading this, I was so stressed because this is like the final battle, the final everything. All the bad guys are together fighting the good guys, and
like every
good.
chapter
had something interesting happening.
Had a battle.
I have
like
tabs for everything.
It was so good. Yeah.
It was it's just an entertaining series that I really enjoyed, and I'm so glad we read it this year. My motivation was just because I wanted to finish it. Because I read the first 5 and I stopped, and I really wanted to finish the series. So
maybe we should, maybe you should choose 2 other series to read with me. Maybe that'll force you to finish.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, cheating. We're just cheating here, but I reread in preparation for the 3rd book the entire Daevabad trilogy. So the City of Brass, the Kingdom of Copper, and finally the 3rd book, the Empire of Gold. The 2nd book is still my favorite one. However, the entire trilogy, which Maya bought for me for my birthday, it's like yay.
And a bunch of other friends.
And a bunch of other friends. But she knew that I wanted it. She's the reason why I got it. And I absolutely love the entire series. So this is happening in 18th century Cairo. And we have Nari, who is kind of a thief, a swindler. Like she, like gets by tricking people. And like in the very beginning, she summons accidentally a djinn. And that's where all kind of the story happens, because it ends. You find out that she is this special person from the city of Brass, Daevabad, where jinns live like in different quarters according to their tribes. And you follow in the 1st book, you actually follow their trip to Daevabad and kind of just see the relationship between Nari and what is his name? Gosh, I forgot his name. Oh,
we suck with names.
We really suck with names. I think it's actually something with a D. I think. Oh God, so bad. Anyways, but this is more like focused on a very slow burning romance thing that's kind of happening. But you get to actually explore the world outside of Cairo. And just see like different types of jinns, different types of powers that they have and stuff like that. Then in the 2nd book, which is my favorite one, we have Nari as she settles into the city, and she becomes involved in a lot of political intrigues, court mishappenings, you know, like she has to learn how to balance, you know, what she is as opposed to what her morality and conscience wants her to do, and it's just focused on her mostly, and like those political things, and it was just brilliant. I love that the romance isn't actually at all at the forefront, neither in the second or the third book. You know, it's there, it's gonna happen, there are parts where it's mentioned, but it's more so focused on the world and this political, just kind of this actually centuries old war between the Jin tribes. And so throughout the second and the third book, you get to learn about the Jin's history, about different tribes. You get to travel to other parts of like the continent where Jins are located, and you follow you follow her, you follow the Jin, and you follow Ari. That's the name of the prince. So I remembered the prince's name. Is he also kind of comes into his own and discovers what he is, and just like it's such an epic story, just like Throne of Glass. It's such an epic story, but in 3 books. But it's such an epic, interesting story. The writing style is beautiful. It's very atmospheric. The characters are interesting. There's also a lot of side characters that are interesting. So just like I love it.
Awesome. The next book I want to talk about is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I do have a reading log for this book. I read this one for the Asian Readathon. And this is a huge book. This is book 1 in the Dandelion series, in which we follow the friendship of 2 main characters and how their friendship impacted the whole empire and basically the course of the war and the world. So this is a military silk punk fantasy with complex and detailed worlds. You know how we have steampunk, which we have technology based on steam and stuff. Silk punk is basically the same thing but using silk. So at one point here they have like they create sort of parachutes with silk and stuff with fabric, yes. And there's also different kind of inventions and machinery that is, you know, sort of involved in that series. Basically, there are so many details and so many characters. I'm just gonna basically we follow Kuni, who starts out as a bandit and then sort of worms his way into a town and becomes sort of very important person, like a leader of the town. And we follow Amata, who is a son of a deposed duke, and the 2 of them sort of cross paths during a war, and together they win the war. And then because of the influence of people from different sides and also from some of the gods who are like betting on who will win this epic war, basically their friendship goes through so many things. And so it affects it was so well written. It was so much fun to follow, and this is basically a contained story. That's why it has a lot of pages in this one book. And the sequel basically deals just barely deals, as I remember, with the main characters from this story. It's like somehow tangentially connected to the but it just the third one came out. That's why everybody was like very into reading it. And I was like, I had this book, I bought this at Interliber like freaking 5 years ago, I think. The first 2 books, and I finally got to this one, and then I'm saving the next one for Tom Topol or for Asian Readathon. And it was so good. It was so detailed. You know how when we read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, basically the same feeling I had for that book is that what I had for this one. It was so good, and I listened to it and followed on audio, and it was really well done, and I just really loved it. So.
Very good. Awesome. Okay, cheating again, I'm sorry. But I chose to put this together because I read 2 books by Leigh Bardugo this year. I give both of them 5 stars. I think Leigh Bardugo just writes in a way that just suits me perfectly. I like even like the first 3 Grisha books, which
everybody's shitting on them now.
Yeah, everybody's shitting on them, but actually I like them. I've recognized that they're
YA fantasy
and
of its time.
and that other stuff, her later stuff, is much better. But I still like them. Like I don't know. Like the way she writes just makes me happy. Like I don't know. I just enjoy her stories so much. So I read the second book in the Nicolai duology. It's a duology, Rule of Wolves, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't even, take a look at what was happening in the first book, and I read it a long time ago. Like I read King of Scars like maybe a year before that, and I didn't really remember much. But as I told Maya, the moment I started reading, I was just back in that world. I was back with the characters. I was just invested again so much. We again follow Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina as they each have again their own stories to tell and their own battles to fight, and their emotions to go through, and it's actually really epic. And I loved how everything ended and how it was. Like I don't think I actually had any like beefs with it. Just like I just enjoyed the experience of reading it so much. So,
okay, so when it ended, did it leave an open ending, or can stuff be added on, or is it like over? Is everyone situated and whatnot?
I mean, I think there could be a possibility of doing stories, but like no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Okay, and the second book I actually have is Night House, and I wasn't expecting anything from this. I was just like, okay, I'll try it because it's Lee Bardugo, and I absolutely loved it. Actually, I think I did it in a summer vlog. I'll put the...
Is that it? No more music. No.
I'll put the link somewhere up there. Anyway, so this is the story of Alex Stern. She is 20 and she kind of is tasked with monitoring the secret societies of Yale University. So these secret societies actually are mostly magical societies. They deal with forbidden magic. They, what does it say? Raise the dead, sometimes prey on the living, and there's kind of not a suicide, a homicide. And a dead girl shows up, and Alex, as the the monitor, the person in charge of all of that, kind of is investigating what happened here. You get to see all the societies, what they're about. You follow Darlington, who is kind of her mentor, who is very, very he's an eccentric person, let's just say that. And the book ends, but it ends like you don't feel like there's a cliffhanger, but there's such a big story to tell.
It's a teaser for the next one.
Yes, it's a teaser for the next one, and I can't wait for the next one. And there's no publishing date or anything, and I'm sad about it because I really, really like this one. So yeah.
All right.
What do you have?
Next book I want to mention is Emerald Blaze by Ilona Andrews. This is book 5 in the Hidden Legacy series. Since this is book 5, I can't really tell you much, other than we follow Catalina Baylor as she is working as a PI investigator and also as the deputy warden of Texas in this world they live in, where there is magic and magical families with power who have who are sort of set up like the mafia. They have their own interests and stuff, and sometimes families ally with each other, sometimes they fight and whatnot. Basically Catalina has to deal with this important case and also deal with the return of Alessandro, who is an assassin, who basically broke her heart in the previous book. And it was so good. It was so entertaining. It was fast paced. It was like a typical Ilona Andrews book. You just have to start, because I was really, really, this book came out last year, I think.
Yep.
And I read it now because I was like, I know I'm going to like it, but I just didn't really have...
Came out exactly a year ago.
Right, and I didn't really have the motivation to start it, but I knew with every Ilona Andrews book, you just start it and you're in the world and it's so
you had
fun.
a problem because the first book was a
Yes,
bit
it
more
was-
YA-ish than you thought it would be.
Yes, and that
I
kind of
think
ruined it
that-
for me a little
and
bit. Yes,
yeah, I think it
made
was
me
bad.
wary of starting this one. But this one explains why the first one was why the previous one was crap. And is it a good explanation? Yeah, but I do enjoy the characters. I enjoy the relationship between Catalina and her family and her employees and all the other characters we follow. There's humor, there's fun, there's like romance stuff. It was just so good, and yeah, definitely. I read it in December. Like, awesome book. I loved it. It definitely brought me out of this reading slump I was in, and so good. Like, read more Ilana Andrews, people.
Yes, yes. Okay, and the final book. Show it, Maya, show it. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This was such a joy to read.
Yes, this is a science fiction book in which we follow this dude. His name is Ryland. He is a high school science teacher, and he somehow finds himself in a spaceship with no memory how he got there and why he's there, and he finds that his crew is dead. So we follow him in two timelines.
Yeah.
First one in the present, while he's on the ship trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and the second one, as the story goes along, his memories reappear, and so we sort of find out what's happened, what's put him on this spaceship. Basically, there's like a bacteria that's eating the sun,
Yeah.
and to save the planet Earth, he has to go and find the source of the bacteria to sort of find out how to battle the bacteria, whatever. And stuff happens, and it's Andy Weir. So first of all, the science isn't too complicated for you to follow. So for me, who doesn't really have a background in science, really it was interesting to follow, and I never felt stupid. I never skipped parts. I usually skip sciencey part, but this was great. It was funny. We have a dude who is very resourceful too, and he can like the things that he comes up with and to deal with different things is just amazing. Like, definitely more closer to Andy Weir's first book, The Martian, than his second one. It was entertaining. The audiobook is amazing. If you get a chance, please try and do it that way, because
it just elevates the book to a new level. Like, it's good like this, but like the audiobook is just like...
Okay, there is an element here that we don't want to discuss because it's very spoilery, but let's just say there's an awesome friendship here.
Yes.
And it's just, it definitely turns out to be a different book than you expect. Can't speak anymore, sorry. And yeah, can you say something, because I just kept talking about it and it was just so awesome. It's so good.
No, I mean, you said everything.
Okay.
Like, there's just like a beautiful friendship in there. The story is interesting. The timelines don't confuse you. They're just like, they really complement each other as you go along. I had moments of sad tears. I had moments of happy tears. Like, I had moments of shock, of disbelief, or just like anticipation, what's gonna happen. Just, it had everything. Like, the book had everything. It was so good. So
Right. I do have a reading vlog for this one. I read this when I was reading science fiction for a week, so we will leave the link to it somewhere so you can check out. But it's going to be spoilery, so if you don't want to spoil yourself for this one, maybe avoid it. But it was so good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So that is it.
That is it. Those were our favorite books of this year. If you have read any of these books, please do share your thoughts. Maybe you can share your favorite book that you read in the past year. There is information down below in the description box. Please do check it out.
Please like, share, subscribe. Press the bell button if you want to get notifications whenever we post new videos.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!